Welcome to Compassionate Heart Parenting. I'm Michelle. If you've ever snapped at your kids and then felt the wave of guilt afterward, or wondered why you reacted that way, you're not alone. After 15 years as an emotionally focused therapist, I have learned that parenting brings up emotions we didn't even know we were carrying. Here, we'll explore what's beneath those reactions and the small shifts that can help you respond with more calm and connection. Welcome to Compassionate Heart Parenting. I'm your host, Michelle. If you've ever had the experience of your child completely falling apart and feeling that pull inside yourself of between wanting to help them and just wanting to make it stop, this episode is for you. Because here's the thing, the moment your child is most dysregulated is also the moment they most need you to be regulated. And that is genuinely one of the hardest parts, the hardest things parenting asks of us. And I think one of the hardest parts of parenting for me. Today, I'm joined by two people who I deeply admire, Kathryn de Bruin and Ronda Evans, the host of the Family Therapy Express podcast, and two of the most experienced EFT therapist supervisors working with families today. Kathryn is an ICEEFT Certified EFT Trainer and registered play therapist supervisor, and Ronda is a licensed marriage and family therapist and EFT supervisor. And together they've published children's books and help families be with these big feelings in real, tender, everyday moments. And together, they're going to help us understand what our children are really asking for when they fall apart and what actually takes to become the safe place that our kids need. And I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation. So, Kathryn and Ronda, thank you for being here. I want to start with something that I think many parents feel, but maybe don't always say out loud. And that is genuinely wanting to stay calm, right? Maybe they've been to some family sessions or read some great books and know that being calm is the way to go. And they want to be a steady presence that their child needs. And it is a very difficult, challenging moment. And something inside takes over. So you both work with families in the exact moments all the time. So I'm wondering what actually is happening inside the parent when something takes over and they can't find their calm in those moments.
Thank you for this question, Michelle. Even as you were talking about it, I noticed having a reaction. All I could hear was you saying, these are the hardest moments for parents. And that's exactly how it is. I have to go to myself as a parent first, because when you so badly want to be there for your kid and you're so full of stuff already, it really is just terribly helpless, right? Like, how do I help my child when I can't even find my composure? It reminds me of the oxygen mask analogy of put the mask on yourself first, right? And so even just jumping to this idea that I have to be calm right now when I'm clearly not, ah, right? Like that's
Yeah.
really difficult to do. And so what is happening in that moment? I'm just so dysregulated, right?
Mhm.
With so many things. I'm feeling guilty because I'm not calm. I feel distressed because my child is having a tough time. I feel bad for wishing that it would just go away. I mean, it brings up all kinds of stuff inside of me. So I'm just a full package of lots of different feelings and thoughts pulling me in different directions.
Mhm.
Dysregulation.
Mhm.
Thanks, Michelle, for having us. I'll just kind of add here to Catherine what you're saying. I totally agree with just such a mix of emotions and feelings. And I'll be honest, this happened to me yesterday, so this is like super fresh, y'all. And for me, it was, oh my gosh, realizing in that moment it's conflicting needs.
Mm.
It's like I already have things for myself that I, as a business owner, as a supervisor, I need to take care of. I haven't done this weekend. I need to help my kid with this school project that really has to get done so he can be successful. I really need to spend time with my kid having fun, so because the school project is not fun in his eyes.
Mm.
I need to hang out with my husband and do some household chores. And then my kid's getting, overwhelmed by something about the school project. And then I'm like, and you're overwhelmed on top of that? Like, it's just a lot of conflicting needs. And honestly, not making sense of it for hours yesterday was that for me in that moment, it was conflicting needs and realizing later, feeling guilty for anything I did choose to do because I wasn't doing something else.
Oh my gosh, yes, I can so relate to that. And I mean, I was thinking as I was asking this question, of course, there's so many different reasons, really. There's not just one, oh, it's always this if you can't stay calm, like conflicting needs and priorities, feeling guilty. I literally just had that conversation with my husband. I was like, I was short and cold with you because I felt guilty that I couldn't be with you the way I thought I should. It wasn't because I was mad at you. And I love what you said too, Catherine, that like the dysregulated emotions. And it's not just one emotions, it's a like five different competing emotions. And I love that you are both saying, like, here you are with all of this, knowledge and experience and helping families, and that you all also struggle with staying calm and present. It's not for the lack of knowledge, right? But we are human first, for better
Yeah.
or worse. We're human first, and we're going to get triggered, and it's going to be freaking hard at times. And I was just having a conversation with my parent coach, and I was like, I was actually able to stay calm, and I don't know why, but it just was, I don't know when it'll happen again, but it felt really good. It does feel like out of the blue, sometimes able to stay calm, other times, whoo, it goes in a different direction and it's really
Mhm.
difficult to stay calm. So I love that you're normalizing for parents. If they struggle to stay calm, they're in good company and they're not alone. And there's many reasons.
hmm and that if it's happening to you because you feel so much, because these are people in your life who pull your heartstrings because they're so important to you and you so badly want to be there and help them and have them feel regulated. This is why it grips us. And Rhonda, I loved what you said where it's like competing needs. And I want to double down and say there's only one thing that makes this worse. When you have two children needing different things at the same time and you're dysregulated, because then you're like, I just don't know. I want to be there for you. I adore and love you. I want to be there for you. And maybe even more than two kids. But when you have these conflicting needs, mixed feelings, feel pulled in different directions, I mean, it's enough to have anybody fall down.
Right. Yes, 100%. Yes, I love that part. It's because these little people, sometimes big little people, they're sometimes bigger than us, right? It's because they matter so much to us that it hooks us, it grips us, it makes it difficult. So, in emotionally focused family therapy, there's this beautiful reframe that a child's difficult behavior is really an attachment signal. It's a way of your kiddo reaching for connection, even if it looks like the opposite, which definitely can look very much the opposite. And for a parent listening right now who's in the thick of power struggles or meltdowns, and the child maybe seems to like push them away, what would you want them to understand about what their kiddo is actually asking for in these difficult moments?
Go ahead, Catherine.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? That's always the question because the package comes out differently to what's inside, right? We got to kind of see the package, open it up, get curious what's inside there. And very often the display of what the child is wanting and asking for is not coming across in a way that we understand and get it. And very often it just comes out in like kid developmental speak and language and behavior. So if it's a little kid, they might be screeching and pounding or running away, or, if it's a teenager, maybe it's a shut door or they are getting very quiet. And so that's the hard part is we have to sort of know and trust that there's something softer and deeper inside that's very, very valid. And the way it's been talked about or shown or displayed can be the opposite. And I wonder if that's where some of our dysregulation comes from, even.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense that it can be the exact, and we don't know. We sometimes it feels like we don't even get to know, right? That there's something softer. We just have to assume there's something off, softer underneath that is driving this behavior on the outside. Is there anything you'd want to add to that, Rhonda?
I mean, I went to kind of like of course, like the inner outer, the softer on the inside. As I heard the question, to me, I remembered myself as a kid, and remembering what my deeper attachment needs were, and it was, is this okay for me to do? Can you handle this if I look like this, if I act like this? Can you help me make sense of this? Do you have the metaphor of like the package in your head? If I look one way on the outside, can you be curious and can you keep the focus on what's happening inside outside versus do you keep the focus on what you're doing on the outside isn't okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel missed if that's all we talk about as a kid, right?
Right.
Like if all we talk about is this that I'm doing on the outside, whatever this is, and we don't connect it to anything else, we don't reveal something new, it's
Mm-hmm.
just about this behavior is bad, then you're not getting to my attachment needs. You're just trying to correct behavior, I guess.
Right. And I was thinking, like, for me, one of the biggest struggles in trying to shift my thinking was these thoughts in my head that would be, you can't let your child act that way. They're being disrespectful. You're being like in my head, I would be thinking, like, you're going to grow up with kids that are going to walk all over you. Like, I'm like thinking, where did I even hear this stuff? I mean, I guess it was sprinkled in through how I was raised, through cultural messages. And so it does seem like, yes, it's almost like the culture says, correct that behavior on the outside. That's the primary importance. And what that cultural message misses completely is why is that behavior happening in the first place? And yes, you can maybe squelch out an unwanted outward behavior, but if you don't even know why it was happening, how much has that really helped?
Right.
I would argue not at all. And so it does seem like that is a kind of, at least for culturally, like a huge shift in parenting. We're not just focusing on getting the outside behaviors to look the way we want. I mean, I think every parent inherently wants great behaviors, but we really are looking more about what's happening inside. So I'm wondering when you see parents start to shift away from correcting outside behaviors to learning and being curious about what's happening inside, how do you see that shift helping them, helping their kiddo, helping the parent-child relationship?
Well, I think this is just so fabulous what we're doing, right? Because we're speaking about even ourselves as parents. We get discombobulated with all these thoughts and feelings. And then we're looking at our child who's displaying in a certain way that we probably have a reaction to and don't like very much or can't understand, which also doesn't make us feel good. But when we think about the fact that they're also experiencing what we are, they also have lots of different thoughts and feelings without even maybe the developmental capacity to even put that clearly or to figure it out. Like, no one in life likes even having like mixed emotion at the same time because you're like, how do I figure this out? And so I suppose one of the things we want to support parents in is knowing that every human gets dysregulated. And this is a moment where my child's dysregulated and it's okay. And we're going to have to lean in and realize there's way more to this and start unpacking the package to get to the heart of the issue. And I think when parents can feel that within themselves, by us leaning in and helping them feel better, then organically sometimes then they know how to then lean to their child and help their child feel better in the same way by leaning in and knowing this is going to be a process of unpacking all of this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're saying that the first step, maybe in EFT family therapy, is leaning into the parent and helping the parent kind of make sense of like, oh, yeah, you get dysregulated too. And then the more the parent understands themselves, the more easy it is for them to understand their child. Is that what you were saying, Catherine, or part of what you were saying?
I think that's exactly right. That we want to, that we really come in believing that every single parent has good reason for what they're experiencing, and that our job is to help them find their balance. And
Mm-hmm.
then when they find their balance, they probably, their skill set will come back online, and they
Mm-hmm.
very likely will know what to do and how to lean in. And
Mm-hmm.
if not, we can definitely support them there, but we never want to do for a parent that which they can actually do for themselves. And we
Mm-hmm.
really believe that in every parent, there's a desire to be there for their child. And
Mm-hmm.
so we want to help them know that we see this about them.
Yeah.
And so when we see this, actually that's part of what even helps them start feeling a bit better, right? Because part of that discombobulation is that they're doubting themselves as a parent.
Right.
Especially in a therapist's office, that's probably maybe the hardest thing ever to do is to step in and say, I've lost my balance as a parent. Like, oh my word, what's this therapist going to do? They could just cut me apart right now. So if we
Mm-hmm.
just start with, oh my gosh, all parents have these moments. This is normal. I have it too. When you just see what you believe and who you know them to be as a parent, oh, they might already start like relaxing.
Hmm. Yes, yes. Every parent has, I love that reframe that every parent has good intention. Every parent wants the best for their children. Every parent is trying their hardest, and that there's some place that they're getting stuck. And the less stuck they are, and the more seen they are in how much they care and how hard they're trying, that frees them up to actually be able to show up the way they want to. Because I think you both mentioned that in your own personal examples is like a layer of guilt on top of all the other mixed emotions. Like that layer of guilt is part of like the hook and the reaction. Yes. And there was something else that you made me think of that when I could have that compassion for my own children and think, gosh, I'm really struggling myself to show up in a calm way. Like I'm struggling not to be, like hooked and reactive and just like mean, even. I'm like, well, I have a fully developed brain and I have a lot of resources and I have, a lot of language and all this stuff. And my kiddo does not have a fully developed brain, and they're also struggling with their emotions, and they don't have the same language. And that was really like, okay, well, if I can struggle, surely I can, yeah, give them permission to struggle too.
Yeah, as you're talking, Michelle, I'm just thinking about, as the therapist supports and resources the parent can see how they get caught in these moments. The parent can then see how their kid's getting caught in these moments, and there's an outward reaction, then there's a softer inner experience. What I see in here is parents connecting to their own softer parts of when they were kids,
Hmm.
right? And they remembering back of like, oh, I felt this way on the inside, and I remember how I used to look on the outside when I was a kid, and they kind of just reconnect with that. And that as part of the process, I think helps with being able to understand what's happening to themselves in the moment and have understanding and compassion for their kid in the moment. And then, maybe we start to respond differently sometimes, not all
Hmm.
the time.
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
can still get caught sometimes.
Yes, 100%. Oh, but I love that the parent thinking, oh, well, when I was 12 or 14 or fill in the blank, I
Hmm.
was like this.
Hmm.
Difficult, challenging. I wish my parents had known this softer feeling about me, or I wish,
I wish I
yeah,
had. found a way to express that. I wish my parent had leaned in even when I was doing that, because that's when I was feeling the softer thing, right? Like that's it happens. The reactivity and the softer stuff always pair together. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's
Right.
when you get access to it, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
even that is a helpful piece of information. The bigger the outside reaction, the softer and more tender, whatever deeper, softer emotions inside. That's a
The
really
deeper
helpful
sadness, the deeper fears,
thing.
right, that are hard for them to realize is actually bubbling up for that kiddo, whatever age kiddo we're talking about. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I know that when my kiddo hides under a table.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday he hid under one of those A-frames in front of a store. Like he crawled inside the A-frame and I was like, "What's happening? We're
Yeah,
hiding again." Okay,
this means
something's going on.
something.
This means
Oh,
something. What's going on while you're hiding under here? And he goes, "I was really sad I didn't win the prize."
oh my
And
goodness.
I was like, "Okay, well we can talk about that. Like, come out of the
Oh.
A-frame and we'll talk about how sad you are." Like, Mommy can't fit inside the A-frame. Like, I just can't do it.
But you see, like, it's so important what we were saying about the therapist has, and our friends, like anyone supporting a parent, you got to believe the best about them and
Mm-hmm.
know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Rhonda, you are in that moment believing the best about your kiddo, right? Like, I could totally go there onto that playground and be like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. How annoying. My kid's supposed to be showing up right now. Now they're hiding. What are all my co-parents going to think? I mean, I can go on, especially like in group situations on playgrounds, the way your kids act. I kind of hated that part because you can't really control them, right? And you're like, I feel so helpless and now I'm shamed in front of all these people. Anyway, the point is, you didn't go all to all those places, but you believed something important. Isaac, something's up. This is valid. He's a great little guy. Something must be going on, right? And so even just bringing that good intention to your kiddo, regardless of how poorly they might be behaving, right?
Mm-hmm.
That already just anchors the relationship right there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Absolutely.
so easy to lose even that intention frame, right?
I love that. And you know, what you're making me think of is maybe I was going to ask you about your book because I think it speaks to this. The fact that these big emotions can be scary. They can be scary for the little person experiencing them, scary for us as adults. I know some of my fears are like, what if this is a new normal? And what if this is permanent? And what if my child's just a spoiled brat who doesn't listen to me and blah, 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 blah. Like, whoo, the fears can really spin off. And being
Hmm.
able to hold that, okay, this is a good kid who's having a difficult moment is actually really hard when you're flooded. So maybe you guys can tell me, I'm trying to see the name of your all's book. It's called, well, actually, there's more than one. So one of them is a jumble of thoughts and a tangle of feelings and a big scary moment. So maybe you guys could let us know, like, how does this help parents and or parents talk to their kids about big feelings and how they can be maybe scary.
Well, I'll start us and we'll see where this goes. So, I love a big scary moment, hand to my heart. It's about baseball, huge dedication to my dad who introduced me to baseball as a young girl. Love you, Dad. Um, it is about being hit by a baseball. In this case, our character Ruth Hedgehog gets hit on the elbow while she's at bat, and she struggles to go back to practice and to go back to playing baseball. What I think is what I love about the focus of this book is that we actually, in essence, it's a book about helping the parents and resourcing the parents first, which is what we're talking about right now.
Hmm.
Of course, we don't ignore the kid and the distress that they're in. Of course not. But the book is about coming alongside the parents and their own reactions to the kids' anxiety and fear. And so here is
Mm.
this kid who's anxious and scared about baseball and I'm afraid now. And then the parents have their own reactions to the kids' anxiety and fear.
Mm.
And I think it makes a good point that, like we see in our work with parents, is we all tend to have kind of a usual way of responding to big emotions. And in our book, Nana Swan comes alongside the parents and helps the parents understand their reactions. And then we help the parents help the kid. So that's just an overview of the book. I'll kick it to Kathryn. She can kind of take it from there, just so we all know what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. I love
That,
that. It gave
yeah.
me chills when you were describing the going alongside, the parent, and that it's can be really difficult and challenging for the parent, that a lot of stuff's going to come up for the parent too. If only
Yep.
we were like a blank slate and we could just only be there for our kid, but stuff comes up for us too. I love that.
Yeah. One thing I wish I had included in the book, which I experienced after we wrote the book, was the for me as a baseball parent, it's like we're gonna keep playing baseball, right?
Oh,
We're
yes,
not going to lose this
exactly.
identity. Like, you're my baseball kid and we're a baseball family. And I
Ooh.
don't, I can't play baseball. I'm a parent, right? So for me, one thing I kind of missed that I wish I had been aware of was the grief and the loss that's wrapped. Again, that softer, tender feeling wrapped in the parent's reaction to the kiddo not wanting to do the thing anymore.
Mhm.
And how that is, you can end up pushing the kid to like, oh, you just go back, like it'll be fine, right? So, I do kind of miss that point of it. So I'll kick it to Kathryn now.
Oh, I love it. You added that, Rhonda. Well, I think it's really a beautiful, fun book. This hedgehog who's, the what do you call it? The prickles are up. And the thing is that it's often the secondary emotion that kids struggle with the most is anxiety. And when your kid's feeling anxious, then it immediately almost makes the parent anxious. And then it's very hard to even be able to think straight. The first book is fun because it is about a parent whose kid is going through something and they can't sit down and have a chat. And how
Mhm.
often with younger kids or even older kids have we sat down with them and we know something's up and we really want to know what's in the package, but they can't find the words, they can't express it. It's like, how do you approach them?
Mhm.
And so the first book really just talks about this jumble of thoughts and all these feelings and it actually just is an exercise, like an art exercise of walking the kiddo through, like just take all the jumble, take the thoughts, the feelings, this, that, put it all together, put it all together, put it in a big ball and blah, get it out. And so then I discovered this. This is just how I help children who are in my therapy office is by just taking all that stuff and putting it out. And so I often have a big board and then a big piece of paper, and I say, just give it to me. Just show me what it's like in there. And then through just painting, splattered, whatever it looks like, art form with crayons, whatever, they can just show me what it feels like inside without even having to use one word. And
Mhm.
so we kind of go from there. It's a way to help parents give kids this opportunity to just get all that mixed up stuff out. And
Mhm.
then we can start organizing it. And so the book walks the parent through ask this, ask this, ask this. And here
Mhm.
are all the options. So it's not even an open-ended question. It's like, it's probably this, or this. Which one is it? And then again, they don't have to speak. They can just circle, point to. So it's a way to work through that jumble.
I really love that because I feel like, yeah, a lot of times as parents, we can have that expectation of they should be able to talk about it. They're 5, they have language, they can speak so well
Mm.
about blah, blah, blah. Like, why can't I just ask them and they just tell me, or and I just say, there's nothing to be anxious about. Jenny, it's fine. You'll be fine. You won't get hit by the baseball again. We want them to be able to tell us, and then
Mhm.
we want to be able to tell them that they don't need to be worried. And of course, that doesn't work, right? I mean, maybe for some kids it does, but for most kids, I would say it is like you were saying, Catherine, like they're going to come with all this jumble and they're not going to have language for it. And so it's kind of an unreasonable expectation. I know, and that's kind of like
Oh.
brings up a difficult thing for parents too. It's kind
Hmm.
of an unreasonable expectation that kids are going to be able to tell us with their words about their anxiety. And then of course, like, I know my kid's anxious or I know something's wrong, but they can't tell me. And then that's scary for parents too. Like you were both saying, when they feel anxious, it's natural for then us to feel anxious. And I was going to ask you about the play therapy because it sounds like that is a doorway into communicating about feelings that doesn't always require as much language. And I'm wondering if there are tools or ways that you talk to parents about, like, yes, I'm going to do play therapy in session here, but you can at home interact with your kiddo this way that maybe made it like a little bit more playful that helps them kind of access some of that, I don't know, communicating with them in a different way at home.
Well, this is definitely a question for Catherine because this I don't know if you all know, but like this is what she's so good at. This is what Catherine loves, and this is what she is so good at. Catherine is masterful at helping young kiddos with play therapy, and then right now working on basically integrating that with family therapy work.
Mhm.
And so we're a perfect question for her, and let's hear what she has to say.
Oh my goodness, Rhonda, thank you. I feel like you're being playful with me now by like doing me a ping pong, like throwing the ping pong back over to me, which is
This is
very
not a question
sweet.
for me. This is all you.
Well, there's just something about even like the playfulness now between us that it just makes one feel warm and connected and, seen. And so, yeah, as we talk a little bit about play, play is just developmentally appropriate. Actually, to all human beings, we all play. We all should play because the moment that you're playing, you're in the present tense. You're not
Mhm.
thinking about the past or the future. And it starts relaxing your body and it's fun and you can connect so nicely. So back to you as saying, Michelle, honestly, that image has always triggered me whenever I see a parent um, looking down at a child who is, clearly crying, having a tantrum, whatever it is. And then really, us parents are taught to say, um, use your big words now. Tell
Right.
me how, like, use your words and tell me what's happening. And I just cringe because I'm like, I don't think they can. And actually,
Right.
they are telling you exactly what they're feeling, just but they can't use words yet, right? And so play is the language of a child developmentally and of humans developmentally in terms of relaxing and being connected. So we can use play for a moment like that, in like the example that we have in the book, by just like vomiting it all out into a picture. You can even use books like ours and many others for like bibliotherapy. Here's how this little dinosaur felt in this moment. I wonder if you do too, right?
Mhm.
But also, we can just use play in general as a way to connect and to feel good together, right?
Mhm.
So, in that moment that your teenager, does just get silent and kind of look at you can be a little playful. You can crack a joke. You can, you know, um, what do my kids do around the table? They kind of like mimic each other, and eventually we're all laughing, and it's a bit of an icebreaker. Or if you
Mhm.
have a lot of these moments where you're having a tough time and you feel like communication is broken with a child, find something that you enjoy playing, or that's something the two of you have enjoyed, and then just avoid the conversation for now. Put it on the back burner. Get back to a fun game together. Everyone relaxes, we feel calm, we connect again. And then lo and behold, maybe we're having the chat then.
Mm-hmm. I really love that because you're making it like playful moments. It doesn't have to look any specific kind of way, which I don't know if this is a lot of parents, but I want like, tell me just to do A, B, C, D, and I'll do it and it'll always be great, right? But in reality, it's like, lean into being playful, lean into like having playful moments. And because was taught about the idea of special time, which I love the idea of special time having, 10 minutes or 20 minutes a day. And it's kind of like, I don't, there's parameters around it. But I found that I couldn't do it successfully with three kids, and I felt like a failure, and that was a whole freaking thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Eventually, I got to a place where I was able to step into more what you're describing is just being more playful and having more playful moments. And that is lightens up the whole mood of the house. It's could be silly things like, throwing a towel and I'm like, think fast, or, like speaking as the dog, or, just whatever silly stuff that that comes to mind. Or our kids, like you're saying, are naturally already playful, so we can just follow their lead. But accessing play with my kids, it felt like a superpower. Like I have one kiddo who's highly anxious, and he had to get his blood drawn. And I played with him about getting his blood drawn, and we played like he was getting it tied, and played, and we put red dye in the water, but we were silly. It wasn't serious. It was like I was the big scary doctor, and I was the, scared patient, and and the other kids joined in, and we were like running around the house, and it was like silly and playful. So it was like bringing the thing to the surface, but we could move through it in a playful way. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, I wish every parent knew about this, because like you were saying, the what we're given is like, talk to your kids, help them use their language, blah, 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 which is not really all that helpful. What is more helpful is to understand how play is, like you said, developmentally appropriate and naturally like what kids already, how they communicate. And so I wish that we could, yes, like your books are doing, share that knowledge with parents, because parents then can tap into that themselves. And I love that they can come to like play therapy or family therapy, and then it can be, parents can learn how to do that themselves with their kids. And probably they already do, probably a lot of parents already do. They don't realize that those are amazing, awesome connecting moments, and those are helping their kids in so many ways. They probably just like, oh, that was, playful and silly. Like, actually, that's a really powerful tool that you maybe don't even realize is in your tool bag. So I love the way that you're talking about that. And I love that your books bring those things to parents in a new way.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. As you were sitting there, I was thinking like, okay, like how do I do play? And it's funny, it just kind of dawned on me. My kid has learned how to do puns. So
Mhm.
this was just yesterday, y'all. I was really upset. I can get upset. We're working on a school project, and I was like really like, oh my gosh, like we need to get this done. We need to get him prepped. He had to go into school today, having dedicated class time to work on this project. So I had to like prep him twice, like do the project, but I actually had to reserve some of it to be class time work. It was very complicated. And all of a sudden, this gigantic fly, I mean, this thing was a huge fly. And I was like, I was in my grr. I was really there. And this huge fly buzzed across between us as we're working on this project. And my kid goes, I'll get it. He jumps up, he goes to get the fly swatter, he comes back and he's chasing this very slowly because his fly was so big it was flying very slow. He's chasing this very slow flying fly around the room, and he's got some like medieval knight energy going on. He's trying to like get this fly, and he gets the fly, and he comes back to me and he goes, I was just really bugged by that bug. And I lost it and I laughed. It was hilarious. And then he doubled down and he goes, do you get it? Bugged. I was like, it was the funniest thing.
Oh,
And then I was good after that. And so it was such a huge lesson to my husband and I who watched it. He goes, well, I'll just tell you a pun next time. That's it. That's all you
Yeah,
needed.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow. That is so cool because it's kind of like what you were saying, Catherine, that you like the ice broke, the fly came in the ice. He started playing, he became
Hmm.
playful, and then it broke the tension of the stress of like the project and needing it the time and like all the I can totally feel that, right? Of
Hmm.
we all have to do homework with our kids. And
Hmm.
I love that he just like he turned it playful and then you just followed him. It was easy. And then the laughter. I love that laughter is another way of expressing emotions and moving through emotions. It doesn't always have to be
Absolutely.
anger or tears. Like sometimes we can laugh off our stress.
Yep.
How cool.
Absolutely.
Like what a smart kiddo that he just like took that moment and then
Yeah, and I honestly think he was just being a kid in that moment. Like his job in the house is the fly swatter. Like he's dubbed himself, that's my job, I'm the fly swatter. So his job came online, but he takes it seriously, but he's also playing because he's like, I'm the knight, I will get the fly. And he's, it's his job, but it's also very playfully done. So, kudos to him for just being a kid, doing what he does. And then we followed him in that and was like, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, kiddo. And then my husband and I were like, between us, my husband's like, now I know how to help you better. Just tell you a pun.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I love that. Um, so I think we're coming close to the end of our time. So I was wondering for a parent who's listening right now and feeling like they keep missing the moments that matter, like maybe they've been listening to you guys for a while, maybe they have an understanding of like developmental stages and behaviors on the outside don't always match what's happening on the inside. Maybe they have some of that context and they're like, oh, but I wasn't able to stay steady. I wasn't able to stay calm. I missed that moment. Like for those parents that, or maybe they get really hard on themselves, even if do make a lot of moments. The one moment that they didn't make, they really hard on themselves about that. What would you want to say to those parents? Like, what would you want them to know? Or, yeah.
Oh, I just want to say, hey, thinking about you, it's so normal. I'm sorry it's so hard. And please know that even you just saying in that moment, oh, mommy's so frustrated, or even just putting some words to what's going on inside of you, if it's in this moment or later, it's okay. I remember having conversations with my kids where I said, oh my gosh, did you see how mad I got right there? Or like later, like, wow, I mean, I scared myself. What was that like for you? How can I improve as a parent? It's not like we have to be able to figure this all out perfectly and then we'll be calm. Even just being able to put words to what's going on behind some of the ways we show up as parents is already starting this process.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that.
ditto on that. I mean, I think it can be hard to go to self-compassion even just for like the one time, right? So the one time I wasn't able to be the parent I wanted to do, I think it's really hard to turn on self-compassion. Some people call it grace. And I do think it's kind of like that pep talk,
Hmm.
that's really needed. And so I don't have anything, anything else to add to what Catherine's saying. I guess I just want to acknowledge that it can be hard to do the pep talk. It can be hard to give the grace as much as that might be what the moment calls for, and what the heart might need to kind of shift in that moment. And I still just think it's hard.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
impossible, to give the grace or the compassion in that one moment when you weren't showing up the way you wanted to. I don't think it's impossible. I just still think it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And you made me think of, Rhonda, is maybe if a parent's listening and they can't give that to themselves, maybe they can hear your voices, giving you guys are giving them compassion and giving them grace and saying, hey, like you're not always going to be able to be perfect, whatever perfect looks like in every moment. Like it's humanly impossible. And so if you can't give that to yourself, you can hear Kathryn and Rhonda's voice giving you that grace and compassion that of course there's gonna be moments, and that's okay because our kids aren't perfect either. And so we're modeling like we all have hard moments.
Mhm.
That's a normal human experience, and it is not always fun, right?
Mhm.
I love that. And I'm wondering, thinking about where people can find you, could you guys say a little bit about the Family Therapy Express podcast, where I love your tagline, where destination is resilient and connected families. What can people expect to hear when they come to your podcast?
I'll take it. So the Family Therapy Express podcast, we've been doing it for a couple of years now. It's definitely geared around family therapy, family relationships, parent-child dyads. What can they expect? We have a guest speaker every time. So please know that we bring in the knowledge and experience and wisdom of other people. And it's a lot around emotion and attachment. That's what we love to work in. It's just the realm that Kathryn and I love. And some of it is geared towards therapists, how to help therapists do family therapy. And some of it is by adjunct helpful to parents. Kathryn, do you want to add anything?
I just want to say thanks for having us on, Michelle, and especially for parents who are wanting more support. I think this is exactly where your website and podcast and resources come in, because you literally have your voice like on your podcast for moments like this where parents struggle. So thank you so much for everything that you're putting out to support all of us as well.
Yes, thank you. And I think I know when, especially when I was in the weeds, having like helpful, compassionate reframes in my ear regularly. So I think parents listening to your podcast will get that. They'll get that helpful reframe because the fears can be really loud and the shoulds can be loud and all these other things can be loud. So I'm sure they can hear that and it'll help kind of with that reframe, and your grace and compassion will come through. And the books that you guys have written, those would be great for parents to read with their children. So is there any place else that people should look for you, or that people can find your work, or is that the main place? The
Well, I'll give a shout out to Kathryn's website. And, most of it is for therapists, although she does have a section for families and parents themselves. And she does family therapy. So if your family needs it, I put a ton of trust in the work that she does with families, especially because Kathryn's committed as a lifelong learner herself. She's got some amazing training that she's done, really deep attachment training that she's done. So for families who are looking for that level of support, that kind of support, you can find her on her website.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your experience, your personal stories. I really appreciate it. And for everyone listening, the light in me sees the light in you. Please feel free to leave us comments, ask questions, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.